What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and this is the What More Do You Want Network. Now, in this video, I will be discussing the Minnesota Timberwolves now that their season is over and has been ended in the NBA Western Conference Finals at the hands of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The question now is, what should this Minnesota Timberwolves team do going into next season? This is a team that, for the second year in a row, reached the Western Conference Finals, but a team that cannot get over the hump to reach the NBA Finals. Anthony Edwards said something really interesting in the exit interview that the team had after the game, and he was speaking to the effect that he's still young, and he hopes he has many, he think he has many more of these in front of him, being as though he's only 23 years old. He feel like his career and him getting back to this, at least this point, is going to be more relevant than people think. Now, he did say those things while sitting next to Mike Conley, who we know is 30, over 30, 35, and, hasn't been to the NBA Finals and things like that. And Mike Conley said some things like that also, just speaking on the fact that, you don't want things to end the same way that it has been and things like that. And you don't want that to be your last opportunity. Now, what I can say that, to Anthony Edwards' credit of him saying that, at least, is one thing that is on his side is youth. He's still a young player. He still has years in front of him. Now, for the team, that's another question, because I, for one, do not think this Minnesota Timberwolves team is a NBA championship level team. And this has nothing to do with them losing in the way that they did to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is just looking at their last two Western Conference Finals appearances. They lose a year ago to the Mavericks. The Mavericks ended up going to the NBA Finals, losing to the Celtics, but they ended up beating the Minnesota Timberwolves team. Now, this was a different Minnesota Timberwolves team than a year ago. They didn't have Cat and things like that. So, but you look at a team this year where you acquire Julius Randle, and it's the same result. I don't think that this is a group of guys that can get it done, together. Now, we look at this roster up and down, and we say, well, if, having Rudy Gobert, who will be under contract next year, having Anthony Edwards, who will be under contract next year, Julius Randle has a player option going into next year, Jaden McDaniels will be under contract, Naz Reid has a player option next year, Dante DiVincenzo will be under contract, as well as Mike Conley, Rob Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr., Leonard Miller, and Jalen Clark are all the players that will be under contract with the Minnesota Timberwolves going into the 25-26 NBA season. Now, I say all that to say, if you are the Minnesota Timberwolves, what do you do? Where can you fill these holes to be better? Because offensively, stagnant. Defensively, they played better in the first two rounds of the playoffs versus the Lakers and going against the Golden State Warriors. But playing against the Thunder, the team looked stagnant at times. The team looked like they had no life at times. The team just looked defeated, and that was before Game 5. This is a Minnesota Timberwolves team who came along during the latter stages of the regular season, going into the postseason, and ultimately made a run to be able to get to the Western Conference Finals. But when I look at this team currently, man, I say to myself, this isn't a team that I can see making it to the NBA Finals, because 2 years in a row, you get to the Western Conference Finals. Ultimately, you cannot complete the mission. So something has to change. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know if it's a personnel thing, but something has to change. Julius Randle has to be better. I think Anthony Edwards, yes, the 3-point shot was phenomenal, but he has to be better. Just as well as, Jaden McDaniels has to be better. And I'm speaking on Julius Randle, just saying that if he chooses to return to Minnesota, again, being on a player option, Naz Reid being on a player option. They have to figure out those two key components, because if Naz Reid doesn't return and Julius Randle doesn't return, that means they're going to have two gaps they are going to need to fill as soon as possible. Because it cannot be McDaniels and Edwards, you're going to need more of a catalyst of a 1-2, maybe three-headed monster going into next year. There will be players that I'm sure they're going to look into, whether it's trades or free agencies, and that comes with the territory, of course. But if you are ownership in the front office of the Minnesota Timberwolves, this should be a wake-up call. This should be a wake-up call. Last year, you thought, going into this season, you thought Cat wasn't the piece to the puzzle, so you got rid of him, and you went with Randle. Randle was okay with Edwards, but again, it was times where Randle was non-existent. So if you are the Minnesota Timberwolves, you have to figure out what pieces can fit around Edwards, because he's the star, he's the catalyst that makes the engine go. So you have to put more pieces around him that work effectively. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Minnesota Timberwolves fans, NBA fans, basketball fans, or if this is just your first time tuning into the channel, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell to know anytime a video is being uploaded to this channel. It's Astronaut H. This is the What More Do You Want Network, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.